Today's High Performance Podcast is brought to you by Josh Phegan Digital. It's the only place to track and keep yourself accountable by looking at all of the essential numbers, from buyer appointments, market appraisals and listing appointments, to listings, sales and income, and working in 45-minute sessions. You'll find it all on Josh Phegan Digital. Welcome to High Performance, the podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Alexander Phillips. Alexander, what's absolutely critical is to really think about campaign success. And we're hearing some pretty amazing things where in different marketplaces, can be some very long days on market, particularly a lot of regional markets, and also to a lot of marketplaces where there's maybe like a second home type purchase. So somebody's going to go and buy that holiday house. There's just not as much discretionary cash that sits inside the economy. We also start to think a little bit about that. What are your thoughts about what you do to make sure that you're getting campaign success? Are there any metrics that you look at by certain days on market for you to know whether or not it's on or off track, and what you might do to adjust to actually get it sold?
Oh, hi, Josh. I think the campaign success is super important from the day you meet that vendor and explaining the triggers throughout a campaign that's going to progress a sale, and what you have to look out for to ensure that you are getting the property sold. And if it's not, well, this is what we're going to be doing to reduce the price or ramp up marketing or change the buyer's guide or whatever that might be. So a lot of that comes down to that set up to sell meeting. That's really where the campaign success is going to be. And when you have that set up to sell meeting and explaining that these are the triggers, this is what's going to happen. If it doesn't, this is what we need to do. The vendors are fully prepared for it, and they know that there's actually a clear strategy and process in place that you're putting in to ensure that there is success, and if there isn't, that you're willing to deviate will create more urgency or progress the actual sale.
Yeah, I think this is a really important part around what it is that you do, is actually thinking about where pricing happens, and pricing happens at the market appraisal, again at the listing presentation. There's a chance to revisit that again at the photo shoot and the feedback that you might get from the buyers, the conversation around what actually happens on the day that you launch, the number of inquiries that you receive, that first midweek open for inspection. There's another conversation that can be had before you actually get to the first Saturday open home, and really making sure that you're really fine-tuning and looking at how many inquiries should we get, how many inspections should we get, how many second inspections should we get, how many people getting copies of pest and building reports, how many are actually getting a copy of the contract sent to their solicitor, and how many offers are we getting in. And so at different stages in the campaign, you want those things to be occurring. If you're in a position, Alex, that ultimately you've got a low level of inquiry, you've got to move on that quite quickly. If you're getting inspections and there's no second inspections, then maybe the dialogue's not there to get people back. How important is it for agents to have a look at that number? Like for you, how many inspections do you need to get on a property before you would expect someone to come and have a look at a second inspection for that particular property?
We only get 10% of buyers, 5 to 10% of buyers through second inspections. Mm-hmm. And that's always, if you get 200 groups or 100 groups, 50 groups. So really to have two buyers and then after a second inspection, 50% say yes, 50% say no. So if you've got 5 buyers through the door and then one says yes and they come through the second inspection, they're out, well, the numbers just don't work. So for us, you've got to be I find getting at least 20 to 30 groups through a property, off market, on market, before you're going to get a sale. But the most important indicator of interest is a second inspection and an early second inspection in a campaign. Mm-hmm. If you don't, because your best buyers are going to come through very early on because they've got urgency and they see the property, they're going to go, let's go have a look at it. They're not going to go in week 3, they're going to go straight away. So you need to be making sure that there's second inspections. Probably the day you're doing the photos, there should be buyers saying, we're keen, we're going to come back to the first open house. One that we had open on the weekend, we had 14 groups at the actual photos, and then on the Saturday open we had like 25, but 4 of them were second inspections. We could sell that house this week.
Mm-hmm. And this is the great idea, right, is that every single time that you get caught in on an expired listing, or maybe something that's been withdrawn or has been on a market with another agent, I bet you do that forensics where you go over like what went wrong on this campaign, and every single time they didn't get second inspections, they didn't get offers, and no offer, there's no decision on behalf of the owner, right?
Yeah. We've sold, I think about sort of 20% of stock we've sold this year is expired listings.
Yeah.
And some of them were on the market, like one we sold at auction yesterday for $5 million. It was on the market for 143 days, and we sold it after 28 days at an auction. Mm-hmm. And we had 3 bidders on it, where they didn't get one offer. But the buyer's guide was $1 million less than what was for sale at. Mm-hmm. But we had that conversation with the vendor, we got it right, and we had an auction, we had a great auction and sold it. But it was a really straight up direct conversation to get the guide right, and that's what got it sold. And that's where we're finding at the moment we're still selling a lot because the guide's been right from day one.
I think this is an interesting conversation. What a great agent does is you become that trusted advisor and you're giving the advisory on what they need to do next in order to get to sold.